All right, welcome to another episode of Talkin' Ball with Pat Leonard, New York Daily News NFL columnist and Giants beat writer. A very special guest today, and I'm going to call this, I hope you don't mind this, X, the Pay That Man His Money episode in honor of what your teammate Saquon Barkley said about you after the 2 interceptions in a standout performance at the end of the season. But Giants fans, NFL fans, you know him. He's Xavier McKinney, top 5 safety in the NFL, Giants captain, national champion at Alabama. Gets a lot involved in the community in the New Jersey, New York area. And in my opinion, X, an underrated part of your introduction needs to be the man who was covering and tackled TJ Hawkinson at the end of that playoff victory in Minnesota to seal that win for the Giants. Welcome to the program, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, this is great. Obviously, a big spring for you coming off a strong season in 2023. But I don't want to talk football first. I want to ask you, how was Milan? How was Fashion Week?
Man, Fashion Week was great. Milan, I had a great time. I just saw a lot of different people, met and connected with so many different, personalities, and saw a lot of things that I wasn't used to seeing. So it was pretty much my first time being out the country. I haven't really been a lot of places, so just trying to kind of expand my palette a little bit as far as, what I see and who I'm around, and just seeing, different cultures, being in different cultures, understanding how they live and how they go about their days. And it was great. It was definitely great to go. I'm supposed to be going to Tokyo next. I'm thinking about it. But that's something that I gotta really figure out, but I do want to go though for sure.
You're a man in demand. How did you get into the fashion world? What attracts you to it? As you know, when I stand there before the games and record you guys walking in for those arrivals, it's something I really take an interest in as well. How did you get so interested and passionate about it?
Yeah, I think that, I have always been into art. So originally it started as, I just liked art, and then it kind of bled over into, the fashion world. Because a lot of fashion is art. It's how you express yourself a lot of the time. So I try to use it to express who I am as a person. And I like to just, see different things and be able to be creative, use my creative mind as much as I can. So that's kind of where it started. I've always pretty much been into fashion. But I got, I dove deeper into it as I got older. And it became like a thing where I did both. Like, I have a lot of art pieces now. And I, obviously I'm into the fashion world, so it kind of goes hand in hand, and it helps me, within my fashion, within what I wear, and just trying to, see different things and be able to be creative as I can.
What I love about your style is you're one of those guys who makes people say, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Right? Like it's unique, it's original, it's unapologetically you. It's not mimicking somebody else. And I like to do those arrivals too, because I like to think of you guys and project you guys as people who are arriving to play a football game and not football players who, like, I think people identify with you with the helmet on and the shoulder pads, but there's so much more to you. You're a well-rounded guy. You have so many interests and you're passionate about what you care about. And so I really do respect that and think it's very interesting. I always look forward the next week at all these arrivals, to what you're going to be wearing next. And then it's really cool to see you, out in Europe showing your style and projected that way, because I can see you continuing to grow in that space. Real quick, I want to tell everybody about Bet Online. It continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year, with up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends. You can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting contests and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to Bet Online today to become part of the team, and remember to use the promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And where I want to start, X, and this is not just because you're sitting in front of me, but I want to tell some people who we're talking to right now. This is Pro Football Focus's 4th ranked safety from the 2023 season. And X, I know you ranked number 1 in coverage in the entire league among safeties. But what I found interesting as well is you were the number 1 ranked tackling safety as well. Technically 3 if you sorted on PFF, but the 2 guys in front of you only played a combined 11 games. In your final 9 games, you had 73 tackles, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and 5 passes defended. I introduce you here this way to say this. Joe Shane, the general manager of the Giants, said that you and he have had conversations, even though negotiations haven't gotten underway yet. Considering the season you just had, the years you've put together, the career you've had so far, I want to know, are you feeling the love from the Giants compared to the level that you've played at in especially this recent season in 2023?
No, for sure. I've always felt the love with the Giants, man. As far as organization, like it's been a great organization for me. Obviously, they were the team that drafted me, so I pretty much have, I've been in love with them ever since. But they've always shown love. They've always been there for me, even when I went through my ups and my downs when I had my hand injury. They were there for me. Joe was there for me. Dave's were there for me. Mr. Mayor. Just the whole organization. So I got nothing but love for them, nothing but respect for them, and like Key said, we've talked, and we got a really good relationship. So I always enjoy talking to him, and we always have good conversations.
You and I have talked before about your goal to be a Hall of Famer one day.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot that goes into this, the business side, but do you envision, like in your mind, when you think about or you try to manifest how your career will continue to go,
Yeah.
do you envision the Giants being able to get you to that goal and you to get the Giants there as well, possibly?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I've always said, from the get go, like I'm one of them guys. I like staying, on the same team, like in my career.
Mm.
That's something. Even when I went to Bama, like I never thought about transferring. I'm a guy that, I'm loyal to the soil. So for me, regardless of if it's going good or if it's going bad, regardless of if I'm frustrated or if I'm not frustrated, I always want to be the person to stand 10 toes down throughout the storm, whether it's good or it's bad, because I do understand that everything is not going to be perfect.
Mm.
Nothing is perfect ever in life. So for me, I want to be able to, and I've always been like this. I like to fight through adversity and try to be, the person or the solution to help to figure it out, to get to turn things around. So for me, I love to fight through that adversity. I'm able to do that. I would consider myself pretty mentally strong,
Yeah.
regardless of if I'm frustrated or not. But I just like to try to figure things out, and I never try to quit or never try to give up or run away, because that's just not how I'm built. So.
Well, no, and that's why I think as a captain, you set a good example, especially down the second half of this past season.
Mhm.
Not only were you and Bobby Okereke the only 2 defensive players in the entire league to play 100% of the snaps and be durable and play through things that people are never going to know about,
Yeah.
but also as the team gets eliminated from the playoffs, your play is still continuing to go up. It's
Yeah.
not dipping with the fortunes of the team or the fact that things aren't going the way that you want. Um, I think you and I had talked a little bit about how kind of Alabama is a good training ground for that as well, right?
It's a
Like it's
great training ground because I learned so many things there. Obviously, I had a really good. I went to a really good high school. I had really good coaches that taught me a lot. But when I went to college, that went up a notch. Nick Saban, Coach Saban, turned it up a notch. Coach Ansley, my position coach, Coach Scott, another position coach that I had, really helped me thrive as a person, and as a player. So that just helped me like prepare to always practice hard. Like I always practice hard no matter what. Like there's
Mhm.
not a day that I go to practice and I BS around, or I'm not taking it seriously. I continue to take it seriously regardless of what's going on throughout the season, because I understand that I still have to get better, and if I get better as an individual, then that's helping my team also be better. So that's kind of like the approach that I've always kind of lived by and approach it with. And that's something that I did, this past year. That's something I did for 4 years that I've been here, and that's something that I continue to do for as long as I, play in the league, and I even just on a regular day outside of playing football. That's just how I am. So.
All right. So the Giants have said they want to keep you. You say you're the kind of guy who you like being loyal, staying in one place, continuing to rise and work with that group. So help me clear some things up. You and I both know the social media can be an ugly place, a tricky place, a place where you're always going to be misinterpreted. But, you're a high profile guy who a lot of
Mhm.
teams want to pay to play for them. Not
Mhm.
only the Giants want you to be here. So I wanted to know if you could clarify or dive into a little bit some of the things that you've posted that fans have tried to read into recently.
Mhm.
Namely, a recent tweet you said, never go where you're tolerated, only go where you are appreciated.
Mhm.
And then that was on the back of, I think it was on February 16th. You had posted a tweet that essentially said, you want to be appreciated in every way for what I do and you bring to the table,
Mhm.
especially for what you sacrifice compared to what others maybe don't have to. So
Mhm.
just wondering, give you the floor to clarify whether that's a reaction to how you feel you're valued in New York or whether that
Well,
is you speaking about something else.
nah, I mean, like that stuff is more so of just like just life in general.
Mm,
A lot of what I do, like at this point, everybody pretty much knows how I am. So I'm always gonna speak my mind regardless. So for me, like that stuff is not just for football aspect. That's just life in general of how like what my motto is and what I go by. So
got it.
it wasn't nothing that was necessarily to any person or any team or any whatever it is. That's just more so of me expressing how I feel and how I go about life. And it's really that simple. I know people try to dive into everything that I say and try to make it into something that it's not, but
Hmm.
that it was nothing with no ill intent behind it. The same
Got it.
way, when we during the season when I spoke on what I spoke on, like there was no ill intent. It wasn't that I didn't like any coach or that I didn't like whoever it was. Like I
Mm,
went and I had them conversations with Wink. I went and had them conversations with all the coaches and just let them know there was no ill intent behind it and that I had respect and love for them. And that's really all it was. And it was just me voicing at that time. That was just me voicing my frustrations, obviously because we were losing. So,
yeah.
but there's never any ill intent or any bad intentions behind anything that I say. So
You bring that up. How did you finish this season with Wink? I know you bought him and Brian Dable and some other coaches
yeah.
those Nike Kobe Grinches around Christmas time, and obviously your play was excellent as well. So I think the perception, if it was negative when you spoke out of frustration that the team wasn't winning, I
Hmm.
definitely don't think the results showed that it was negative. But then
Exactly.
obviously Wink leaves. So just curious, how you finished after that and how
Yeah.
you guys managed to work together in a positive way, and then what you think of Martindale eventually leaving and everything that happened after it. Kind of a twofold
Yeah.
question there.
Well, yeah. I mean, just to clear it up, like I've seen so many different things about like, oh, he's saying that whatever about Wink Martindale, whatever. Like, we have a good relationship. I've talked to him and we've talked. Obviously, in any relationship that you have, just with anybody, nothing is ever gonna be perfect. You're not gonna agree, with everything. We're sometimes we weren't on the same page, but
Mm,
we ended up getting on the same page, and I think that's all that mattered. But we still have a really good relationship. I actually talked to him when he resigned, and we talked and we texted, and
mm,
I told him how much I appreciated him and how much respect that I have for him, and how much he helped me out, throughout the season and helped me learn and helped me grow as a person and as a player. So we always gonna have a good connection regardless. So I think like people try to make something of something, but like I've said plenty of times before, I got all love for everybody, man. I try not to have any bad relationships with anybody, because I do realize like you know it's life, like so everything is not gonna be perfect. Every relationship is not gonna be perfect, like I've even with my own family, like we've had times where we disagreed on certain things, but we still love each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's
believe
like
me, I know.
exactly. So everybody's had the same thing, and I take that the same approach with my coaches. I do realize we're gonna challenge each other mentally, all the time. And I think that's good. Like when you're challenging people and they're challenging you, that's forcing you to be better. That's forcing you to grow and to see it in a different perspective. And I think from my viewpoint, I was able to see, it in a different light and a different perspective. And I was able to understand where, the coaches were coming from. I was able to understand where, Joe was coming from because I had talks with him about it too as well during that time. So
Hmm.
I understand everything. I'm a person that I try not to be closed-minded to anything or stuck in my way. Sometimes I do realize like, I'm always gonna be me. So sometimes I do I will do things and won't even realize it. But then once I talk to somebody and I'm like, okay, like I understand where you're coming from,
Hmm.
then we're able to work it out and get things fixed. So that's really all it is. But never have any bad relationships. I got good relationships with everybody, and I try to keep it that way. So
Very interesting. No, and people respect you and they respect that you're genuine.
hmm
And I think that's something that is an underrated quality.
yeah,
And I also think that you're somebody who understands clearly, based on what you just said, that, conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. In fact,
no,
a lot of times, really good things come out of conflict and things maybe that never would have developed if that conflict or that hard conversation didn't come to pass. And certainly, I think every Giants fan appreciated that a player and a leader on a team that wasn't putting a sufficient product on the field was pissed off about it,
hmm
right? You'd
yeah.
almost be upset if they weren't. But that's very interesting insight about kind of how you finished there with Martindale. Have you spoken to the new defensive coordinator at all, Shane Bowen, who comes over from Tennessee?
Yeah, I talked to him. I actually was up, because I've been up in the facility when I was up in New York. But I've talked to him and we sat and talked for a good bit. We met once, but
Hmm.
we have talked and it was a good conversation. And it was just good it was kind of like a getting to know you, first meeting type of thing. But we definitely already met. We met. I'm pretty sure it's like this first or second day that he got hired.
Oh, right
So it
away.
was yeah, it was good to be able to talk with him and get to know him for a little bit.
Interesting. And so the Giants obviously value you, and you're saying that essentially being in the same place is appealing. But then again, your play has put you in a stratosphere that should get you paid to a certain level, and teams manage their cap space. Joe Shane even said back in January, we have to look at how we allocate all those resources.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, do you feel like the contract you achieve, whether it's with the Giants or another team, should put you in that top 5 category financially to match your production on the field? Or are there other factors like familiarity, and wanting to be in the same place and continue to build something that would maybe alter that as like the number one goal?
Well, I think my play, my leadership, I think that kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So I like, and I've already said how I feel about as far as being paid a certain way, and I do believe that I should be paid, as a top 5 guy because I am that. I believe in that, and the numbers speak for that.
Yes.
Um, but also there are other factors, that play a role into ultimately what I want to do. So I think it's kind of like a mix of both. At the end of the day, obviously, like I said, I do. I do really love the idea of playing and being with the same team for my entire career. That's something that I've always kind of stuck with, just growing up at any level that it's been.
Mm.
But like I said, I think it's a mix of both, and it's a balance of both. So, but I think both things kind of speak for itself as far as how I want to be paid and how I want to be respected as a player and as a leader. So yeah.
No doubt, I agree. And I actually was looking at all the numbers and some comps, and I know that your agent David Mulligata and the Giants are going to get together later this week that we are talking
Yeah.
at the NFL Combine to talk about this. But I look at a guy like Jesse Bates, who just got paid last year, 4 years, 64 million, 16 annual, and 36 guaranteed. And if you look at your numbers and his numbers this year, that's a pretty good comp. And
Yeah.
so that puts you in that top 3 stratosphere, right?
Hmm.
And I do think it's only fair that you're thought of that way. And I like that you're, as you say so frequently, 10 toes down, standing on what you feel you're worth, especially when the numbers and the off field all back it up. I hope you get what you're looking for wherever it is. You have said that it's appealing for you to stay with the same team. There are a lot of NFL teams out there, fan bases who are frothing at the mouth of the idea that you would hit the free agent market and they could go get you. The Green Bay Packers is what comes to mind. Mainly, a lot of experts have kind of matched you with Green Bay, which has a need on the back end, somewhere you could play for Jeff Hafley and be that single high safety and the ball hawk that you've shown yourself to be in the back. What do you think about the possibility of playing in a place like Green Bay if that were come to pass? And then what is it like to be coveted and wanted and appreciated in that light by these other fan bases?
No, I definitely think it's cool. Like, um, t- obviously, this is my first time like kind of dealing with this like whole little free agency stuff. So like, I don't really know how it works. So I'm kind of just going through it and like just
Got it.
seeing different things. But I haven't really thought much in like since the season ended, I've been just trying to get away from football and be
Got
able
it.
to kind of live my life and do the things that I want to do because I got time to do it right now. So I haven't really thought much into anything of what I'm gonna do or what I want to do.
Okay.
And honestly I haven't thought about playing for any other team, to be honest. So I just kind of been trying to lay low, trying to, do the things that I have, interest in as far as fashion, just trying to travel, see my family, see the people, that I love and spending, real quality time with them and making sure that I'm, 100% present and intentional about, what I'm doing. So I haven't really thought much into about, other teams or really any teams at all, to be honest. Just trying to take this time to relax my body, relax my mind. And obviously in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna have to, think about, some stuff. And, even before, a little bit before, free agency starts. But, I haven't thought about any team really.
Now you've earned the time off. You're going to get some Giants fans excited with this interview, X. I'm telling you, man. I know we got a couple weeks to go, but you're going to get
Yeah.
these Giants fans excited. It's good news to hear you talking about the franchise and the team in this way going into this process that we don't know how it's going to go. A
Hmm.
couple more quick ones and we'll get you out of here. We appreciate all your time. As you said, you do need to relax. You have earned that. Um, the transition tag was brought up as a possibility. This is the idea that the Giants, because they value you so much, they could place what this is called a transition tag on you, which is $13.8 million for one season. It allows you to go negotiate with any other team, but it gives the Giants the right for you to bring back, let's say, your best offer from the Green Bay Packers, and the Giants can match it and retain you. Um, I know you said you kind of really haven't dove into the business side of this yet. So this might not be something that you familiarized yourself with fully at the moment, but do you have any opinion or feeling about having a tag placed on you? Because obviously that's you talking to teams, but not technically being a full free agent either.
Yeah, I think I've said it. I'm not the one for tags. So I don't even really get into it because mentally, I like I said before, I believe in my
Yeah.
worth and I've been able to uh, be a high productive player. I've been able to put up really good numbers. I've been able to show that I am a top safety in this league, and I've been able to show that I am worth every penny that whatever I'll get paid, whatever. But I'm not really into the whole tags, franchise tag, transition. I didn't really know much about a transition tag, anyways. But I don't even want to speak on it much because I'm not even gonna put my energy or entertain those things. So yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I like the answer. Um, one more about the Giants team last season. So your teammate, especially because you being a captain and a leader and having the pulse of the locker room and essentially driving it often as well, your teammate Kayvon Thibodeau said on a podcast after the season that he felt Saquon Barkley should have been paid last year before Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, obviously, there's a lot that goes into that, and maybe he does end up getting compensated fully on the back end. But he essentially intimated that when a team knows how important a player is like that, when he doesn't get rewarded, it doesn't sit well. And I just wanted to know from your perspective, is that something that an opinion either you shared or you felt like the locker room shared about how those situations went last year? And then secondly, can you apply that to yourself and to important players like yourself and Saquon this year as well, that the locker room understands who is driving things on both sides of the ball, and that in order to have success, the team needs to put its full support behind them?
Yeah, I mean, well, regardless of who's getting paid and who's getting paid what, I think as players, we still got to go out there and we still got a job to do. But with that being said, Saquon is a phenomenal running back. He's a great dude. He's a dude that deserves to be paid. I've been saying this for a minute. That's somebody that I truly believe is a great running back, and I think he's going to go on to have a Hall of Fame career. But he's done everything, for the team, play wise, leadership wise. He's always there. He's a brother of mine. He's a brother for a lot of us, not just a teammate. So, for me, I'm always for, everybody getting paid, because at the end of the day, we all trying to, make that money to be able to change the way we live, to be able to change, how our family, lives, and so on and so forth. So, regardless of, who gets paid, we still got a job to do. We all have one common goal, and that's to go out there and win. That's to go out there and win championships. And, that's what, ultimately that we're looking to do. But as far as Saquon's situation goes, man, like anything that, I've talked to him on several occasions, and I've let him know, like, whatever, he needs me to do, or if there is anything that I can do to be able to, help him and get him in a situation to where he can get that money. Whatever I can do, I don't really know how much of it I can really do, but I'm always there for him, because he's always been there for me. So he deserves every penny, and he's worth a lot, because he is truly a guy that can turn around a whole, organization, a whole team, from his play and his leadership. So I got major respect for that guy, and he's a guy that we're pretty close. So that's what I say about that situation.
Well, I think you did a lot to help him right there. Close out on a high note here. One thing that I think of when I think of you, among, there's your play, there's your durability, there's all those things. But I think of you as the guy breaking down the team before every game,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of important players on every team. There's a lot of important players and big names on the Giants. But you're the guy who gets everybody together on the field before you guys go into the locker room and reset for that opening kickoff. Um, how did you assert yourself into that role, and what about that role is unique, or why can't and just anybody do that, and why do people respond to you in
Man,
that situation?
uh, man, that's a good question. I don't know. I've been doing it for so long. Like, I did it in high school. I did it in college. Um, so for me, it's just something that I've always loved doing. I've always loved being, that guy to kind of get the guys going, and making sure that everybody, is ready to go, and making sure they got the right mindset before the games even started. But I think, I don't know. Some people, it's not meant for everybody. Some people can, like, can't really. Some people don't get ready like that. Some people can't, do a whole bunch of, the rah rah speeches or whatever you like to call it. Like some people can't, are just not meant for that. So
Hmm.
for me, I don't know. It's just something that I like to do. It's something that I wouldn't necessarily say that. Um, it was just something that I earned, and something that I've always pretty much done, and just being to be honest, it's an honor to be able to do it because it shows that my teammates respect me and my coaches respect me, and they know that from a vocal standpoint that I'm the best guy to be able to do that. So
Hmm.
it's always been fun to be able to do it and get the guys ready, and hopefully I can continue to keep doing that for sure.
Yeah, we have you labeled here as Xavier McKinney, giant safety still. And I think fans
Yeah.
are excited about the possibility that that could continue. Remember, everybody, we are sponsored by Bet Online, also by Estate 98 Coffee. It's an Esencia de Cafe from El Salvador, dates back to 1798, takes 3 minutes to make an iced coffee. Easy for me to say. Order it on their TikTok shop at Drink Estate 98. This has been the Pay That Man His Money episode
Shout,
with
shout out shout out to Saquon, man. He started that little trend, so I gotta shout him out for that for sure.
shout out to Saquon. Shout out to you, X. Thanks so much for spending the time, man. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.